everyone. This is your host Uno, Mara Sarhales. Here with me is
Your host, Dos Anamor Benedicto.
welcome to our podcast, The Smart Talking. For today's podcast episode, it was requested by one of our longtime viewers and listeners to discuss the prevailing issue of SDG 5, gender equality, the gender inequality, unfair, and unjust systems for genders.
This is essential and timely, especially since we are dealing with political crisis right now. And peace and equality plays a vital role in combating political crisis, social issues, and more. One reason why we experience oppression and discrimination every now and then, despite the laws that protects gender equality, is because people are negligent to these laws and found out doing what they think is right.
Having said that, the center of our podcast will be the discussion of gender equality divided into three segments: women, men, and the LGBTQIA plus community. To help us provide a deeper understanding of today's discussion, let us welcome Ashley Pasobilio, Shane Sashas, and Thirdy Miharada, the STEM 11 pre-science students of the Ateneo de Davao University Senior High School.
Hello, Ashley, Shane, and Thirdy. Welcome to the Smart Talking. Are you guys ready to share your thoughts?
Definitely.
Definitely.
That's great. Before anything else, we would like to delve deeper into what gender equality and inequality are. Ashley, you mind sharing what's on your mind?
For me, gender equality refers to giving each gender, whether man, woman, or member of the LGBTQIA, a fair and just system and the equal opportunities society has to offer. While gender inequality is the total opposite of that, in my experience as a woman, I have been a victim of gender inequality. Like how in my previous school, I had been continuously bullied and mocked for being the most intelligent one in our class that is dominated by men. There was one time that the teachers asked for a contestant in a quiz bee competition. The whole class knew who excels in the science subject, but to my surprise, the one that was chosen was a guy that only sleeps all throughout the lesson discussions. In the end, our school lost. If only they weren't misogynistic, I would have brought the trophy and medal home.
You have my empathy, Ashley. I relate to you. It is sad that despite the laws that are mandated to protect us from gender inequality and injustice, discrimination and oppression, not only women experience gender inequality but also men. Isn't that right, Thirdy?
Yes, you've hit the spot, Shane. People often perceive men as strong, brave, courageous, and immune to pain, but it's literally quite the opposite of what they say. Although men have this natural instinct to act brave and strong, because that's how society tells them to, men also have their time of fragility and their own weaknesses. I do not mean to project hate or any shade towards anyone, but often, men are being overshadowed by women in terms of cases. Although it is understandable that a lot more women experience abuse and oppression than men, it is not right that we ignore how men suffer too.
That's actually a good and heavy point you have right there, Thirdy. Are frequently victims of abuse and oppression in the society. Consequently, we fail to acknowledge that men are subjectively to be being victims of abuse and oppression too. It is high time we realize and acknowledge that not only women are possible victims of harsh society, but also men. This also goes the same way to the members of the LGBTQIA+.
Yes, that's right. LGBTQIA plus community is a part of our society. They are also victims of abuse and oppression. More so, they experience the harshness of the harsh society as few people still refuse to acknowledge their existence and often show disgust towards them. There has been a case about a member of LGBTQIA plus in Cebu that has been a victim of abuse. Let's call him Victim X. Although the perpetrators were men, were clearly at fault because there was a video footage about how they continuously threw kicks and punches to victim X, the court, the people, And even the mother of victim X refused to acknowledge that he was the victim. Instead, his perpetrators twisted the story, saying he was the one who started molesting them, and he only fought back as a natural response. This makes me so sick in the stomach. How could people hurt someone, then pay a victim for the sake of their reputation? I certainly believe that only devils have the guts to do such horrible things. But then, of course, justice is only dormant, delayed, but never denied, and can never stay hidden forever. Victim X got his justice after years of staying quiet, for he met people that helped him fight for his rights and to get the justice he deserves. This story shall serve as a wake up call for people in the society that the abuse and oppression towards LGBTQIA plus community really does exist and that it is high time that we acknowledge them as part of our society.
That's one good story, Marha. People who choose to stain others' names just for the sake of saving their reputation are totally sick in the head. It is saddening that our country is not yet open to these kinds of things and continuously turn a blind eye to the truth in front of them.
Hence, the reason why this podcast will serve as an immediate eye opener to the society about the realism of the situation previously mentioned. No one deserves to be abused, discriminated against, oppressed, nor bullied for being who they are, for doing what makes them happy.
It is a high time society realizes that heavy trauma some people carry for their negligence and for turning a blind eye for almost all circumstances. Hence, it is essential that we discuss this matter to bring awareness and provide a deep understanding onto why it is necessary for gender and equality to occur.
As Ashley stated, we will now be discussing the significance of this discussion to society's development, viewers, impact on students, women, men, and the LGBTQIA plus community, how women, men, and the LGBTQIA plus community will benefit from this discussion, for gender equality brings the best among women, men, and the LGBTQIA plus community. Now, Anamor, do you agree that gender equality should be firmly and effectively implemented?
Without a doubt, yes, Marha. As obviously as it seems, through gender equality, the social issues experienced by society will be resolved one by one like a domino effect. This is because gender equality will serve as a gateway for positive change to foster in society. Of course, it always starts with one thing that influences other things for change to happen. With gender equality comes a society of equity.
With that being said, the target goals of Sustainable Development Goals number 5, gender equality, primarily focuses on the well-being and safety of women and girls against violence, molestation, and exploitation. Equal rights to leadership, decision making, economic resources, and reproductive health and rights for all genders. With these goals, we will be able to build a peaceful and prosperous world that unites genders together. Not only will gender equality provide positive change, but more so bring great influence and impact on the overall status of society and its people.
Well said, 30. I couldn't agree more. But gender equality really is the path towards a peaceful world, just like what Anamor stated. Don't you think so, Ashley?
Affirm yes, Shane. I also believe that through gender equality, we'll be able to achieve a safe, united, and peaceful world for all genders. We'll be able to provide a safe community for women and girls wherein they won't need to feel scared walking alone in quiet streets, afraid that someone might ambush them. Also, men won't have to feel hindered from showing their emotions, their weakness, their fragility. They would feel that whatever they will do, the society will accept them. Thus, for the LGBTQIA plus community, they would feel the love and support from other people through this initiative. They won't have to hide themselves anymore or use a facade to prevent people from attacking them, from discriminating who they are. Through gender equality, we will have a world of peace, equity, justice, and solidarity.
Wow, this discussion is truly profound. With truth based experiences and opinions, we are able to knock senses into our viewers and listeners. Hence, we hope that this discussion would bring enlightenment and realizations into our viewers and listeners, especially to the to our avid viewer and listener that requested this discussion about the prevailing issue of gender inequality and about the significance of gender equality, the SDG number 5. Now, I'd like to ask each one of you, how do you feel about this discussion? Let's start with you, Anna Moore.
Actually, I really feel happy and safe knowing that each and every one of us have experienced, and also I have experienced what you felt during these times. And I think it gives us a happy feeling whenever we feel comforted by the stories of others. So I believe I feel happy and seen during this time.
That's good to know, Anna Moore. Next, I would like to hear from Ashley Pasabillo.
Now, for Marha, this podcast really makes me feel enlightened and very empowered. I hope that also the listeners and the avid viewer who requested for this podcast also feels the same. Because for me, talking about this topic is really sensitive, but yet very important, especially for people who has experienced mistreatment, whether be it they man or a woman or an LGBTQ plus community or just a person in general. And that's why, like, for me, this topic is very not just something that that is there, but is really something that we really have to talk about, especially in this generation where the politics, not only the politics but all around the world, is very in a chaotic situation right now.
That's great to hear, Ashley. Thank you. Now let's move on to how 30 Mehorada feels about this podcast.
I think it was a very good experience being able to come on here and talk about some things that I as a guy experienced. It's also really interesting to hear from the perspective of a woman, especially because I'm a guy. I don't really get to really know about that stuff. I think it's very nice that I get to hear about your experiences and how women are really negatively affected by gender equality. I hope that some people would become more conscious of their actions through this podcast, and I hope more people would become more informed and and have more realizations about what they should be doing, how they should react, and how they can help combat gender inequality.
Thank you, 30. Now, on to our last guest, Shane Soshas.
For me, I feel happy during our podcast about gender equality because this is a topic that I'm passionate about to talk, and I enjoy sharing my ideas and thoughts and about this discussion.
That's happy to hear, Shane. Personally, I also feel happy and delighted that we get to share our thoughts and experiences for this podcast, for this discussion, because it is really high time. It is high time that we talk about this issue, for this issue has been going on for years now, and I think it is time that this issue is is put a stop, for gender equality must prevail now, not gender inequality. For gender inequality only brings chaos and pain to people's lives. It will cause them to be unstable. It will cause their mental health, physical health, and emotional health to be unstable. It will cause people's lives to be destroyed, which then highlights, emphasizes the importance of our podcast, the importance of this discussion to happen, for a change to happen also. We end this discussion because we need to start the action. This has been Mara Serhales, your host Uno.
And Ana Mor Benedicto, your host, DOS, believes that it is important to be you and to be authentically you.
Shane Soshas.
And I am Ashley Pasubilio.
30 Mahorata, your guests.
In today's episode of The Smart Talking. Thank you for your time, our lovely guests. And to our viewers and listeners, we hope that you were able to realize a lot from today's podcast episode. And special mention to that avid viewer and listener of our podcast that requested for this discussion to come to life. Thank you for empowering our viewers and listeners and us, the guest and the host.
Till the next one. Adios!